Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mano and Mano, back in our usual 10 a.m. time slot. February 3rd, 2024. Hard to believe already. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Eli will be joining us in a moment. And Eli's got some news for us about how you guys can participate in the Super Bowl selection. And he'll explain all that. But first, of course, we always start our show with the monologue of Summerhill, New York. And I know he's listening, and we thank him for his continued support. So the monologue here, and this is kind of rare for us. I'm going to call out a notable passing because it's from one of our favorite sports movies. I think one of the best sports movies of all time, Rocky. Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed in both in the whole Rocky series, actually, at least 1, 2, and 3, anyway, had passed away at the age of 76. And like I said, it was a great, great character, and this movie franchise is still continuing. Yeah, the Rocky movies kind of quote unquote jumped the shark after probably the third one, but Rocky 1, Rocky 2 were just absolutely great, and he was awesome in both of those, and that's notable. And listen, from a sports perspective, Carl Weathers was quite an athlete. He had a brief career with the Oakland Raiders at the time, but was a standout football player at San Diego State, actually played multiple sports. So he was definitely a great athlete as well as an actor, and went on for some continued success in the Star Wars franchise as well. But Carl Weathers, the role he played of Apollo Creed was just one of my favorite characters in all of the sports movies that we talked about. So rest in peace, Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed. Big loss in the movies and in the sports world. So wanted to shout that out for our monologue this week. And right on cue, our producer and co-host Eli Weintraub has joined the show. Eli, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great this week. Of course, a sad loss with the passing of Carl Weathers. He was obviously, great, a phenomenal actor, and the roles he's been playing in was phenomenal. Obviously, he was a great in The Mandalorian. Obviously, that franchise will never be the same. That the series will never be the same. Obviously, without him, I don't know if they're going to continue on with another series, but his role will definitely be missed and impacted. So, rest in peace, and thank you for all the work.
Yeah.
Speaking of work, let's right above Jim's head right now is a QR code that will access to Google Forms where you could vote who wins Super Bowl 58. We will announce the winner on next Saturday's show before Jim and I make our picks. So you have the opportunity to go to Google Forms, sign in through your Google account, and vote who wins the Super Bowl, Chiefs or 49ers. You can only vote once. We will announce the winner on next Saturday's show before we make our picks. So please help us out. Scan the QR code. It takes you right to Google Forms, and you can vote who wins the Super Bowl. It'll be either the Chiefs, 49ers, and that'll give us like a little hint of who we should pick, and to see who you guys decide at home, what you guys have in mind.
Scan. I love it. I think that's great for a little participation for our loyal listeners. Good job, Eli. Good job. Excellent. So let's jump right into the fray. Let's talk about last weekend was Championship Sunday, right? And we'll start off with what first game was Baltimore and Kansas City. And just for the record, Jim had a bounce back week, got both of those right. Eli not so much, but that's why that's okay. Sure, you'll make that up in the Super Bowl. But let's start off with the first one. And again, I think I learned my lesson. Betting against Patrick Mahomes when he's an underdog is something you got to really reconsider. And I did. So I went I had more confidence in Patrick Mahomes than I did in Lamar Jackson, and it kind of panned out that way. Game could have gone either way. A lot of big plays, and obviously the fumble by Zay Flowers was big turning point in that game.
And
But
also the taunting penalty, simple mistakes from Zay
yeah,
costed the Ravens the game, in my opinion.
yeah, so we that was a great great matchup, and Patrick Mahomes first time he's had to. So he's now won two consecutive road games in the playoffs, and this guy flat out he's a winner, and
Yeah,
the pressure was
plain
all
and
on
simple.
Lamar Jackson, and he didn't have that kind of game that a lot of people, and probably the presumptive MVP for the season. But so what were some of your takeaways for the game, Eli?
Well, I think the Chiefs played phenomenal, and clearly, whenever they're the underdog, they always go, excuse me, go the extra mile. Clearly, in this game, they did go the extra mile. They played with their heart and soul. The offense was there, defense was there. Silly mistakes by the Ravens costed them the game, and they won. And I think Taylor Swift has a big impact. Sorry to say it. I know we have to say it. Legal reasons say we have to say it. Uh, she had a big
Just for the
impact,
record, it
clearly.
wasn't me who said it. You
Yeah,
did.
it wasn't
All
the record, but it had to be said. Listen, if she's gonna fly to Tokyo to Vegas, it has to be said.
right.
And
Okay.
apparently, the sad part is the U.S. NBC and Japan NBC is already negotiating about Taylor Swift and the flight from Tokyo to Vegas. That's what we're focusing on. Just to let you know, that's
Yeah.
what we're focusing on. And for the Ravens side of things, they failed pretty badly. Again, that taunting penalty that killed him. 15 yards, that would have been a perfect touchdown. Could have changed the dynamic of that game. It was a
Certainly.
close loss. And
Yep.
clearly, for the record, it goes to show that it is now 6 years that the Ravens are in the playoffs, go far, and they missed the opportunity to go to Super Bowl, who had obviously the best chance to go far, considering what
Yeah.
the Chiefs have done this year. Shame on them. And hopefully we'll see them back maybe next year, but it's going to be tough. Buffalo's going to look hot, and it's going to be a tough contender. And it goes to show, could have been Buffalo's year this year based off how that game went.
Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of riding Buffalo's bandwagon all year, but and I
If they
thought
would
it
have
was
won,
finally their time to get over the hump because they had Patrick Mahomes at home and
yeah,
they couldn't close the deal. But this was a very hostile environment that Mahomes came in, remained calm. But I think the biggest surprise to me was the way their defense played against the Baltimore Ravens, and that was a big surprise to me that I didn't know their defense was as good as it played, and they really kind of shut down Lamar Jackson. It was quite a
yeah,
performance by their
it was.
defense.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a disappointing game, but bounce back year next year. But for the Chiefs, we could doubt them all we want. We could say that they did not have a great season, but when they're in playoff mode, they will go in the fast lane and accelerate to new levels and new heights. And that's what we
Yeah,
see every year, it seems like. And they're becoming
and
this
this is
new Patriots team. Like
right,
that we be
right,
that we see just now often, and now we just don't want to see them anymore.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people, when you critique it again, we're the Monday morning quarterbacks, right? We
Right.
look at it, but when you look at the running game that Baltimore had, they kind of abandoned that, and that kind of changed the whole dynamic. It thrust the responsibility solely on Lamar Jackson to perform. I don't know why they got away from the run game, but they did. They didn't run the ball very much, and guys like Dalvin Cook didn't even get in the game, stuff like that. So there was, this was a clear, decisive statement by Patrick Mahomes that a lot of people are saying that well they had a mediocre year, and yeah they did.
Yeah.
They battled some injuries and so forth, but when this guy gets the spotlight on him, he just performs, and he didn't disappoint again. It's just great
Yeah.
story. Great
We
story.
also have a comment from Eric Tenbrook. Good
Denver.
morning to all. Happy February. Yeah, that's right. It is February. Yeah. Time has flown by
Yeah.
fast.
Thank you, Eric. And Eric is one of our loyal listeners by way of Westchester, Pennsylvania. So thank him for his continued support since day one. I appreciate it very much. And I know you do too, Eli.
Yes,
Um,
thank you very much. We appreciate it 100%.
Okay, so we got the AFC representative in the Kansas City Chiefs, and now let's talk about the second game last week, and it was Detroit at San Francisco, and I know you felt real comfortable and with Detroit, and when you look at that, some of the game time decisions that Dan Campbell made kind of came back to bite him this time. He went for fourth down a few times, but however, remember last week our monologue was calling out Jared Goff, and was he,
Right.
up to this task? And he certainly was. I mean, those fourth down plays, not one but two of them, he put the ball where it was supposed to be, and these guys just did not catch the ball. So that turned the whole tide of the game. But Detroit put up certainly a valiant effort on the road. They were up by 17 points at halftime and so
Yes.
forth. So I mean, you got to give San Francisco credit, because they went into that locker room at halftime, and somebody stood up and said, this is our field. We can't get beat on our field on national television if you want to go to the Super Bowl. So they came out flying, and I look at the weapons that they have, and these are the guys that we pointed out earlier. I wasn't 100% confident in Brock Purdy, but he came out and he played a really good heads up game, and didn't really turn the ball over, which was key. But Debo Samuel is quite a threat for them, and Christian McCaffrey will always be a threat for them. So they have the right tools, and they went out and they came back, and they rallied in the second half and took that game. And
Absolutely.
the reward for them is going and get to play Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas next week.
Well, yes, and it's going to be the rematch of Super Bowl 54. As remember, Super Bowl 54 was Chiefs 49ers in Miami. This time, it's Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas indoors. So that's the only twist and different, obviously, team, I guess you could say, for the 49ers as they were once in 54.
Yep.
For the Detroit Lions side of things, I think that has to be the worst game that they played all season. You could make a statement there. Yeah, from the Lions side of things. Not saying that was the worst upset of the year for in the NFL, but for the Lions, that was pretty bad. Going up 17 points at halftime, then blowing it, that was pretty bad. I think Greg Olson said it best, and Kevin Burkhardt. It was gimme passes. They literally touched your hands, touched your head, touched everywhere you could possibly get it, and they dropped it. Silly mistakes. Obviously, Dan Campbell had a lot to do with it. He's a great coach, but I think that just like, I guess you could say, lessened his chance of getting the top spot in
Yeah.
winning the coach of the year, because that was a horrible game. Going down 17 points, up 17 points, and then losing the game is pretty bad. 49ers, they had a bad first half, but they bounced back in the second. They played well. The offense was there. Defense was there. And they're going to be really going to push for a fight versus the Chiefs this weekend. It's not going to be, I don't know if you could say it's going to be the best Super Bowl that we predicted and want, but it's going to be good. I mean, I don't know how great it's going to end, but it'll be good. Comment real quick from Miriam. She said, "Good morning. It's great to see you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for
Thank you,
watching."
Miriam. Appreciate your continued support as well. Thank you very much. And yeah, to your point, Eli, I do think, though, the way those games played out, I think this is the matchup that we really wanted to see.
Right.
Because you want to see guys like McCaffrey, you want to see guys like Mahomes. These are the top guys in their positions in the game, and I think it's a great matchup. We don't have to really now get into the whole, if Detroit won, this would be a Cinderella bet, and people would flock to them. So I think you got the two best teams in the league, and Kansas City showed it. They went on the road and beat a very tough Baltimore Ravens team to get there. So I think the matchup is what we want. I don't know who's going to be the underdog and not. You know my position on sports gambling and point spreads and so forth.
I get that 100%, but it has a big factor when it comes to the Chiefs, as it paid off in the Bills game and the Ravens game. So that will have a factor. I think we should say, I will say it next week just to see how it plays off, because I have a good feeling if it is true that the Chiefs are the underdogs heading in, then they will win the game, because that's how it seems like the Chiefs play. But we'll obviously wait to see.
So it's next Sunday kickoff at what? Usually around 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30 on CBS and alternate broadcast on Nickelodeon. So yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, this will be kind of the And I think the guy is good. I don't know why Greg Olson gets some of the criticism that he does. I think
Oh, he's
he's
phenomenal.
very good.
He's very good. But now you got to deal with Tom Brady next year.
I know, which is a little surprising to me, like
Right.
why he wants to get involved in something like this.
What I
But
feel like Fox will do is, because Tom Brady's new and doesn't know the whole game yet, do what ESPN did and do a three-man cast. Kevin Burkhardt stays, he does his job. Tom Brady joins in with Greg Olson, and that'll boost up. And we'll see who stays at the number one spot. Will they keep a three-man year for the following year after, or will they go leave Tom Brady at that two-man crew? But I think I have a good
yeah.
feeling that's what Fox will do, because Greg Olson is phenomenal, and I think Tom Brady is going to be new to this whole analysis thing, and I think he's going to need some help. And I think Fox, I wouldn't be surprised Fox does a three-man crew next year.
Well, I mean, I guess we could all understand the decision that Brady made to go into the booth. You know,
Right.
he was one of the most analyzed and players of the NFL era for years and years and years. And now that the tables have turned, now he's got to critique
Yes.
the teams that he's watching. But you know what? They paid him $350 million to do it. I think that this is going to be a nice learning curve for him for
And before I
sure.
get
But
to before I get to the comments real quick, sorry. Uh yeah, I guess he should have to broadcasting, because after that golf shot that he had that was all over the social media from Pebble Beach, I believe it was.
it
It
was,
looks like he better stick to his day job. Don't stick to golf. Let me tell you that. That was a horrible shot there. Couple comments came in. Eric said, "Thank you for the link to Google Forms. It was easy, worked great." Next up from Guy Coriano, just get Jim Nance out. Yeah, see, that's a debatable crew, because I think it's Tony Romo, but yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Nance is as good as it gets as far as play by play.
yeah. I mean,
I
I'd
don't
say
have.
maybe Romo's a little bit but I guess you could compare the chemistry between Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson to Jim Nance and Tony Romo. You could definitely say that Greg Olson and Kevin Burkhardt definitely exceeds the level, and they only been there for what, 2-3 years already. They have not been further than what Jim Nance and Tony Romo have been at. But
Yeah.
you could definitely make an argument there.
Yep. Well, like I said, when we talk about the Super Bowl, I don't really care about who's calling the game. I don't really care who's playing at halftime. This is the final game. You and I have been side by side for four and
Exactly.
a half months, and this is the game that we look forward to every
Since we
year.
started,
And
that's what we've been talking about.
yep. So we finally got there, and Eli and I will make our picks next Saturday.
And we will announce
Um,
the viewers' vote.
yes,
So
and
keep on voting. We will announce who the viewers vote is next week. We're not mentioning no names or nothing, no emails. We just want to know who you vote. We'll say 8 votes for the Chiefs, 2 votes for the 49ers as an example. So just keep on
yep.
voting, and we'll announce that way style next week to help us out as well.
Okay, and it's one little point I wanted to bring up, because I saw this question and it relates to the Super Bowl. There was one player ever all time to win a national championship, a Heisman Trophy, a Super Bowl MVP, and a league MVP, and that was Marcus Allen.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That's pretty interesting. Good stats. Good information.
Yeah, that was pretty. You know what? If you posed that question to me, I may have considered him. I know. I mean, he had that
Honestly,
unbelievable run in the Super Bowl with the Raiders. That was awesome. So, like I said, I guess the only black mark is that he was pals with O.J. Simpson,
yeah.
right? So, anyway, I thought
That's
that was
good.
an interesting
Good
statistic, and
stat.
like I said, Eli and I will get through the week like everybody has, all the naysayers about who's going to win the game and
Yep.
why they're going to win the game. But like I said, it's playing on the field. It's again, a sports betting guy's dream, because it's in Las Vegas, and the money that will be generated from that and the money that will be lost will be all-time record breaking in Super Bowl history. So
Yeah.
we'll get back to that next week, right?
And
So
apparently, did you
Eli,
hear this?
let's.
They have 165 cameras for the game, and that includes doink cameras. That's gonna be fun to watch the doink cameras after they miss the
I
kick.
don't know what that is. What is
So
that?
you know how when they kick the field goal and it hits the field goal post, it makes a doink noise. So they're gonna have
Oh,
cameras inside the field goal post. So when they hit the post as a doink, they'll replay it as there. I think that's pretty cool.
wow. Look at the technology from what we experienced. Remember going back, I was looking this up. Like the first Super Bowl wasn't even sold out. It was,
Yep.
it was almost
Right.
a half-filled stadium, and look what it's become. It's become the most watched sporting event every single year for the past 30 years. And now the technology with the drone cameras and the views that you get, it
Yeah.
really has come a long way. Long way.
Absolutely.
Yep. So Eli, let's talk about a couple of things in the
Coaching.
NBA, right?
Okay. We'll go
Yeah,
to the
from
coaching
a
later.
From a New York perspective,
Yep.
how about your Knicks? I mean, they're
I ain't a Knicks
15
fan,
and
but that's good. Good for the Knicks if you're a
15
Knicks
and
fan.
2 in their last 17 games. And like I said, people are getting very excited because they do have some players now that is starting to come together with the on Adobe trade and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. But the play of Jalen Brunson has been basically the catalyst for them, and now they're quote unquote relevant. Do I think they have enough to beat the Milwaukee Bucks or the Boston Celtics in the playoffs? No, I don't.
No.
But you got a lot of these kids that came out of nowhere, DiVincenzo and Hartenstein. These kids are playing. These guys were all over the league
Right.
for years, and now they seem to have found their home.
Right. And it seems like that they found the new home. They've been playing well, and I think it's been working out. It's been they as the I saw while I was watching Sports Center this morning. They said the Wild West because of how packed it's been and how crazy it's been. And the Knicks have been doing pretty good. Stephen A. Smith's loving it if you watch it. So
Yeah.
they're doing good. Good start of the NBA, but there's a lot of fines and a lot of issues that have been happening. I'm going to go through a few of them real quick here. Pelicans were fined
Good.
$25,000 after Trey Murray III was not reported for an injury on the January 27th game. 76ers have been fined $75,000 for failing to include Joel Embiid in their injury report. Timberwolves Anthony Edwards has been fined 40 grand for publicly criticizing the officials. Los Angeles Lakers D'Angelo Russell has been fined $15,000 for kicking the game ball into the spectators, into the stand. Hopefully nobody was hurt there, but he's been fined $15,000 according to reports. And Commissioner Adam Silver's contract has been extended through the next decade, according to ESPN reports.
Oh, well, that's no surprise because
Yeah.
he's making that league a ton of money. And you bring up these little individual fines; they're so insignificant in the overall scheme of
Right.
things because everybody in the NBA makes 20 million, 30
Pretty
million,
much.
in some cases 40 million, right?
Right.
I mean, and you brought up a good point because I've been thinking about this because there was this the NBA made this rule about you know uh, resting players, right? Because it's
Right.
not good for the game when you pay a ton of money to go see the Lakers play and LeBron James doesn't get off the bench.
Right.
So this whole situation with that, and that's the easy way out. I mean, if you want to rest your guys, you just say, oh, he's got a pulled hamstring or something. So I'm referencing this because Joel Embiid, um, you know, he's known for getting injured, but he's
Right.
also you saw what happened to him in the playoffs last year. He didn't he wasn't fresh. He wasn't that player that he was all during the season, and that's because he played too many games. So they're resting LeBron, they're resting these marquee players, and they'll continue to sit them,
Right.
but they're going to continue to find them. But it's absolutely insignificant in the scheme of things, though.
Absolutely. And one more
Yeah.
thing for the NBA that I'll get to real quick. Remember how we were arguing back in June, July, how what's going to happen with this NBA draft? What needs to change in that? Well, something happened. Clearly, they have NBA announced that the draft will now be 2 nights. The first round will be on Wednesday, June 26th, from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, on ABC and ESPN. The second round will be on Thursday, June 27th, live on ESPN only, and will take place from ESPN Seaport District Studios in New York. And as of right now, it is not open to the public for the second night. Both nights have an 8 p.m. start time. So, yeah, the NBA. We talked about the draft and why it's been such a significant. What needs to change, what needs to be better. We got somewhat of our wish because now it'll be 2 nights, one in for the public, one not for the public, both in New York.
And it's an interesting thing that you brought that up because we've seen what has come to be the NFL draft and like a 2 and 3 day thing, and but that's because there's so many teams and there's so many quality players. I don't know that
Right,
the
and there's so
NBA
many
can pull
spots.
this off.
Right.
I don't think there's enough quality players for a second round or a second day in the NBA draft. But this is Adam Silver, and regardless, they'll still make money on it.
Tons of money, absolutely. No
And
question.
like I said, I could vouch for this because I went to the NFL draft like 30 years ago with my brother, and it was completely different. And um, now you could barely even get in, and it costs you a fortune. But so
Correct.
I've seen what the draft has evolved in the NFL, and it's become almost a sporting event unto itself. But
But
the
again, the
NBA
NBA
doesn't.
draft, the NFL draft is something special because obviously it's a big event. It takes a lot of there's a lot of players involved, and there's something special because we noticed that being number one is not always great, but being last could mean something different. That happened to Tom Brady and many other guys. So that's why the NFL draft is something. It's like its own sporting event because you could be picked last and you could be the greatest. You could be picked first and you may not be the greatest. That's what happened with Bryce Young's first year with the Carolina Panthers, for example.
That's right. Good example, right? So listen, so we're at the halfway point. Like we'll see if the Knicks can continue this. There are a couple of little things, and this story came out yesterday about LeBron James potentially being on the trading block, and I kind of laughed about that. I don't know who put that rumor out, but
I
he
saw that
went.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he went and he told Anthony Davis, "You come to LA and we'll win a title." And even though it was the title for the COVID season, which I don't really give much credence to, but there is no way he's gonna pull out and leave Anthony Davis there for the Lakers to go into the basement. I don't see that possibly happening. I think it's still he wants his son to come out and play with him on that Lakers team in LA and try to make him the star. By the way, I actually watched him a couple of games, and he's not LeBron James. I mean,
No.
people are trying to put him in a category that he doesn't belong in yet. He's playing for a kind of a mediocre USC team, but I don't see any credence or credibility in the Lakers trying to get rid of LeBron James. I just don't see
Absolutely.
it. No. And one other note I wanted to bring up because there's been 25. There were 24 guys in NBA history to score 25,000 points, and I can't believe the guy's still playing in the league because he's really not the player that he once was. But Russell Westbrook became the 25th player to join the 25,000 point club in the NBA, which is kind of significant. A lot of players, 25 is not that many. So the guy was a phenomenal player in his day. I think that road is coming to an end, but that's a milestone that's good for the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been huge for the NBA. And again, the success that has changed will definitely grow 100%. So, yeah.
Yep. So let's stick with basketball, but let's move on to the college level. And, this is exactly the time of year where people start to tune in and watch college basketball. And we're going to see it today. There's a big matchup with number 7 Duke and number 4 North Carolina. That's a big rivalry game,
Right.
obviously, tonight. That's on 6:30 on ESPN tonight. And you get these big games. And Tennessee, Kentucky. These are meaningful games now. This is going to set the stage for a tournament run, and we've seen the number one team in college basketball get knocked off week after week. Right? Purdue's been there, Arizona's been there. Now I think UConn, right? UConn number
Right. Yes.
one right now,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So the defending champs and so forth. but this is when college basketball really starts to bring people off the NFL couch and onto college basketball. I
Right,
love it.
because now the NFL's over, so the only game that matters is the Super Bowl. The Pro Bowl tomorrow does not count really because that is a boring event. We all admit that.
Oh,
And yeah.
can't watch 2 seconds of any of that. I can't watch any of
Now,
it.
I watched the All-Star game for the NHL last night. That was a different argument.
Well,
The All-Star skill.
they made that kind of interesting, actually. I think with the skills competition and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
but
pretty
the way
cool.
they did it yesterday was just I don't know. Like it wasn't right. Like no.
Okay, I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I watched it last night. They changed the format around for last night. Now it's only 12 players participate in the skills event, and the winner with the most points at the end of the night wins $1 million. The winner, of course, was Connor
Connor McDavid.
McDavid. Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, just to throw that out
Okay,
there.
but listen, college hoops is really starting to come into play here, and I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, one of my favorite coaches in college basketball, Tom Izzo, picked up his 700th career victory this past week. So
Right.
that moves him into, kind of elite status. Not that he's ever going to catch Coach K or any of those guys, but he's year after year puts a great competitive team on the floor. Was a national championship winner. Whoa, back in what 2002 maybe. That was a long
Yeah.
time ago. But I think the world of Tom Izzo, and I'm happy when something good happens to somebody good. It's a good thing altogether. So
Right. 100% agree.
yeah. So Eli, we got to, and here's where, full disclosure, I had the Australian Tennis Open was
Yes.
last week in the finals, and it was Sinner versus Medvedev, and I took Medvedev, not realizing though, this kid Sinner,
It's really good.
22 years old, won his first major. And he goes down 2 sets to none, and he rallies back in a 5-set thriller marathon match. It was awesome. Congratulations to
Right.
him. And
Congrats.
I just don't know why this Medvedev can't. He's there year after year in these finals.
Nope.
We talk about it, one of the young guns, but now he's 27, 28 years old. So, we're seeing a shift again with these young kids. It's great. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. And the
Yep.
future's bright. And obviously, you'll have the Wimbledon and all those fun coming up soon. So that'll be always fun
Yep.
to watch.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, it's the All-Star break for hockey, and I'm a big hockey fan as you are, and
Yes.
so the second half is going to be very exciting, and
We also have the Stadium Series coming up. That's gonna be super exciting because it's coming. It's a 2-day event in MetLife, so
yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
no, that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Eli, let's move on to our random points of interest, of course, sponsored by
Yes.
Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Thank them for their support. And just a couple of little quick things. We were just talking about hockey. Remember early in the season, Edmonton fired its coach and so forth.
Right.
They got off to a slow start. McDavid wasn't playing like McDavid. All of a sudden, they're one game away from the longest winning streak in NHL history. They're at 16. I think the record is 17. So what a turnaround for that franchise, and that can
Oh
only be
yeah.
good for the NHL. Because
Yes,
if you
but you know
have,
what they say: if you're good for so long, you win the President's Trophy. You ain't good anymore because you ain't gonna go far. But we
yeah,
always have to wait and see, of course.
yeah, but there's really some marquee guys in the NHL, and I hope people um, tune into some of these games to see, like Austin Matthews
Absolutely.
already got 40 goals, and you know that's significant because the all-time record was Wayne Gretzky scored 92 goals in one season, and I always thought that was an impossibility to make. But the way this kid Matthews has been performing,
Yeah.
it's not out of the realm of possibility. So
Yeah.
tune in, and your Devils got a good run. There is this whole black cloud over the NHL though, with this sexual case going on with those junior hockey players, and one of the marquee guys, two guys on your Devils, Cam Foote, right? It was one of them.
Right.
And Carter Hart was starting
Yes.
goaltender for the Philadelphia Flyers. This goes back to their days in the junior, but this is not a good look for the NHL at a time where they're trying to get market share. So
No.
they're going to have to deal with this.
Right. And it's going to be a huge deal, a huge problem. And the NHL will somehow win a solution that will ease fans, I guess
Yeah.
you could say.
Yep. So a couple other quick things, and this is kind of a head scratcher when you hear something like this. And I think this was in just outside of Wichita, Kansas. They had a statue of Jackie Robinson that these hoodlums came in, cut the statue off at its ankles, and stole the statue. I mean, how do people live with themselves when they do something like this is beyond me. What are you going to do with it now that you have it? That kind of thing. It's like, okay, now you have it. What are you going to do with it?
Now, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, there's not much you could do, really.
No. So I hope they catch these thugs and send them to jail because it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
especially a figure in Major League Baseball like Jackie Robinson. It just
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
It truly is.
I
have a ton
couple
of
other
notes.
quick. Yeah, it was an interesting thing, and I saw this. This was it's Super Bowl time, and when you think of Super Bowl, of course, you think of the Cowboys, you think of the Steelers, and so forth. So this was 50 years ago in the 1974, and we were talking about the draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their 1974 draft consisted of 4 Hall of Fame players: Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Mike Webster, and Jack Lambert, who Jack Lambert, by the way, was one of my idols growing up, because we both played linebacker. But what kind of a draft was that? How about that? 4 Hall of
That was
Famers
a
in
draft.
one draft. And that was the Steelers' heyday, and they all went on to become Hall of Fame. Just amazing draft. Amazing draft.
Yeah. All right, I got a lot of notes, so I'll start.
Okay.
We got because we didn't talk about the coaching changes in the NFL, so I'll bring that up here as well.
Yep.
First up, the FIFA World Cup details, announcements, and locations will be announced tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. So take a look at that to find out who's playing, where it's playing, and all that fun stuff. We also have Pat McAfee. He'll be joining Michael as their brand new commentary team for WWE Raw every Monday night on USA. So yeah. And also, we can continue tonight at 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Before I get to the NFL coaching stuff coming from Guy Coriano, 58. Yes.
What's 58?
I don't know.
I guess it's Super Bowl 58. Right?
Which it is, right.
Yeah.
All right,
well,
Seahawks
I'm
hired
sure.
former Bills defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier as their new assistant coach. Cliff Kingsbury has been hired as their new Las Vegas Raiders offensive coordinator. The cheapest ticket at the Super Bowl is $9,000. The most expensive suite is $2.5 million, which, by the way, Christian McCaffrey's brother can't even afford. So that's just how expensive it is.
I know.
The players can't even afford it, and the brothers. It's a family. Lions quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will be going to the coach of Miami Northwestern High School. He'll be head coach there. Hence he's retiring. Patriots hire Drabette Springer as their special teams coordinator. Ali Van Pelt as their offensive coordinator. DeMarcus Covington as their defensive coordinator. And that's who the Patriots hire. Commanders hire Dan Quinn as their new head coach. And here's a good article. Super Bowl ads cost in 1973 $103,500. Guess how much it costs today?
$500,000.
$7 million for a Super Bowl ad. $7 million, according to Fox Sports. That's what they have. A comment from Guy Coriano before I continue. Jay Lambert.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's Guy. That's my favorite player. Come on.
Yes.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Texans quarterback coach Gerard Johnson has informed that he plans to return to Houston, as well as offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, and who is the offensive coordinator. The Bills are promoting linebackers coach Bobby Babich as a defensive coordinator. Steelers are expected to hire Falcons Artie Smith. Titans offensive coordinator will be heading to will be staying with the Titans as well.
Mm.
We also have Ben Johnson. He remains in Detroit as the Commanders and Seahawks picked up guys. Seahawks hire Mike McDonald as their head coach. So that is a
Yep.
good hire. So they went from the oldest coach in the league, Seattle, to the youngest coach in the league. The Chiefs Ravens game averaged 55.47 million views on CBS, and Fox averaged 356.3 million views over on Fox for the NFC Championship. Chiefs will be right in the Super Bowl. White will be the 49ers. Chargers
Yep.
finalize Joe Hortez deal as their new general manager. Atlanta hires Zach Robinson as their new offensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake as their defensive coordinator, and special teams coordinator Marcus Williams. Joe Brady was named their new offensive coordinator, and Eagles are expected to hire Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The Chiefs will practice for the Super Bowl at Henderson State facility, which is home to the Raiders. 49ers will practice at sorry, I'm gonna say this, butcher this one, Fertitta Football Complex, home to University of Las Vegas. Boston College coach Jeff Hafley is expected to become the defensive coordinator over at Green Bay. And that is all the notes I have. A lot of news in the NFL.
Wow.
Don't even remember what the first thing I said was. So yeah,
I
a lot
know,
of
and
stuff.
I can't for the life of me remember an off season. It's not even off season yet,
Yeah,
but the coaching changes that have taken place, and they're all, they were like 7 NFL head coaching. I think some of the surprises to me was Bobby Slovis and Ben Johnson staying with their respective teams
yes,
as coordinators. And guess who's on the outside looking in? And this has got to be a surprise to everybody. Of all of these coaching changes, when you see Dan Quinn's had his opportunities before, but he gets another one over, some highly qualified guys. And I'm talking in particular Bill Belichick
absolutely.
and Mike
Mike
Vrabel
Vrabel.
did not
Yes,
land either any one of those open positions, which to me is
a
very,
horrible move,
very surprising.
bad move, and Dan Quinn would be the last resort. That is a shocker what they chose.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go far. Early prediction.
Well, listen, I mean, if the Atlanta Falcons interviewed Bill Belichick twice, that means that Bill Belichick wanted complete and unintrusive
Control, basically.
control of that team. And Arthur Blank was not willing to give it to him. But I think they're going to come to regret that. I think we've seen
Yep.
Raheem Morris's record as a head coach in the league. So, I mean, if it came down to him and Belichick or Vrabel, very, very surprising that Belichick and Vrabel are still on the sidelines looking from
Absolutely.
the outside looking in. Crazy, crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Well, amazing stuff, actually.
Yeah.
Eli, I had one other couple of quick other closing notes. The Baltimore Orioles, the Angeles family is selling that, and I thought this was kind of a small number, 1.7 billion. Think of what I just said there, but when you think about the value of sports franchises these days, that seems like quite a bargain.
That's
But part of the
it's pretty bad that we're saying that that's a small number, $1.7 billion. That's a
yeah,
little bad.
it is. It
That's
is.
pretty bad.
But this is a team that's on the rise. They haven't been relevant for a long time. And one of the minority owners of the new ownership team, which is great for Baltimore. It's one of their most beloved players of all time, one of the great players of our generation. Cal Ripken is part of that. So that's
Right.
that's really good. He only played for them. His father coached for them, managed them. His brother played for them. So that's kind of keeping the ownership in the house, and I think that's a smart move that he's part of the new ownership group because the Orioles are doing, you know, they're on the way up. They're playing
Yeah.
very good baseball. They made a big trade for Corbin Burns this past week. So they're for real. They're an up and coming team, and that's going to signal some good things for Baltimore. And there hasn't been a lot of movement in the baseball free agency signings yet.
Yes.
Except for obviously the big names and so forth. But the Yankees let Wandy Peralta go. He signs a 4-year deal. And again, these are 4-year deals for guys in their early to mid 40s, mid 30s. So, that's a big loss. So the
Yeah.
Yankees, they still have some work to do. They made a splash by getting Soto, but they got some holes to fill. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Good stuff with the random points, Eli.
Yes.
Nice job. Good insight. So we move
Oh, and
on
don't
to
forget
our.
that St. Mary's takes on St. Joe's. Big robbery for the two of us on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, there we
And you can
go. I
watch it
mean,
with Jack at Play by Play and me over at Public Address for the game over on the Basketball Zone Network YouTube.
yep, good for you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big game. Obviously high school basketball is pretty big in New Jersey, and in particular, Don Bosco looks like the team to beat. They have Dylan Harper, who's the son of former NBA player Ron Harper. He's a McDonald's All-American high school player, so they really took it to my St. Joe's team last week and
And
really
they're going to
crushed
do it today for the second time this year to St.
it. I
Mary's
know.
probably. But we
Must
always
be.
have hopes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go to our movie recommendations, Eli. And
All right.
I got a couple. Uh, my first one is Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. It's a hilarious movie. Came out probably, I'm going to say 84, maybe something like that. Very, very funny movie, worth watching. And one of our loyal listeners, Mr. John DePrecker, kind of called me out that I didn't have Airplane on my movie list, which is kind of a
Yeah.
spoof of Airport, the movies back then. It's so goofy and silly, but you got sports guys in it, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the movie as a pilot, so it's
Yeah.
pretty funny. These are great movies, and like I said, they don't always have to be comedies or sports movies, but when I see something and I've watched it several times because it's that good, it's just a good for our audience to to be
To
included
just
in movies.
engage. Right.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
I don't know. Do we have a Rudy update from Eli yet? I don't know.
I haven't watched it yet. I gotta add that
Yeah,
to the list.
okay, so
All
I'm
right, so we're
guessing
gonna add
no.
that to the list.
That's not gonna
Been behind, so I gotta add
that's
that to the
not gonna
list.
go. That's not gonna go over well with one of our sponsors. I'll tell
I'll
you
have to
that.
write the list on my notes. So
All right, you got it.
sorry about that.
Um,
Yeah, gonna be
I
booed
got a
at
couple
later.
of pictures because you got
Oh
a couple of pictures we could post up.
yes, 1 second.
As
Just
I
gotta.
told you guys last week, I got a chance to see my grandson play basketball last Saturday, which was very fun and exciting. These are 9-year-old kids, but it's cute to watch the development. I mean, I was 9 months too, and then here's the pictures of me and my
All right, here's the
grandson, who,
first
by
one.
the
Let's
way,
see if the YouTube has it available. Hold on.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we got it on YouTube.
yeah. And he's a big Patrick Mahomes fan, obviously, and there
Yep.
he is on the court. It was very cute to watch. They lost the game, but these kids play their hearts out. It's really
Clearly they
exciting.
did. So that's what matters.
It is
All right, I'm
exciting
gonna
to
stop
see.
sharing because you don't see everything else. All right.
All
All
right,
right.
good
That's
stuff.
good. Yeah.
So Eli, let's move on to our notable passings. And like I said, we started off with one with Carl Weathers and a couple more from the world of sports, and one really hits home uh, for me and my brother Steve big time, and I'll mention him in a minute. But an actor, William O'Connell, and he's kind of, if you just Google him, he was in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies and so forth. Very familiar face. He was 94 years old. Great character actor for many, many years. In the world of college football, Terry Beasley, 73 years old. And Terry Beasley is like the Auburn all-time leading receiver, and he was pivotal in the 1971 Heisman Trophy winning
Right.
season for Pat Sullivan. So he was 73 years old, and like I said, Auburn has never been known for their wide receivers. They've been known for their running backs, but Terry Beasley was the exception to that rule, and he was 73. So we wanted to mention that.
Yep.
Also, sticking with sports, Mike Martin, who's the all-time winningest NCAA baseball coach long time, coached Florida State for many, many, many years. I don't think, though, he ever won a national championship, but he was 79 years old, and he has the most wins of any manager in college baseball history. So that was a big loss.
Yeah.
And Rob, Eli, I wanted to bring up one that's kind of close to home for both me and my little brother. And I wasn't able to play with him, but Rob Hastings was St. Joe's running back, class of, I think, maybe 1982. So I know he was very close with my brother Steve, who was the quarterback at that time. And, it's a shame. He was only 59 years old. And, it hits home because these are kids that we watched play or we played with them. And 59 is just so young for somebody. So we wish all the best to our St. Joe's community and the Hastings Feeling family, because Rob was only 59 years old, and
Wow.
R.I.P. That's
Rest in peace. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's way too early to go, and he was an outstanding football player, by the way, too. So
wow.
I had to mention that for sure. So, but again, Eli, we wrap up another show with
we end with a comment.
Homage. Yep.
We end with a comment here. Dinner or later, we're going to meet E, and then we have a sooner. So, you know what this is?
Sonner. What is that? I don't know what that is.
And then we have this comment before.
Dinner or later, we're going to meet E. Oh, sooner or later. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. All right. But anyway, so like I said, we close our show by paying homage to people, and this was a tough week for us. So all the best to the families of those who passed away. But anyway, Eli, another great job. I love the QR code thing you did. And
don't forget to vote at home, please. Please vote. Use the QR code.
Yep.
Nothing shared.
And like I said, this is
nothing else.
Yeah, Eli's bringing a lot of new blood into the show, and the viewership is great. And wanted to wish a happy birthday to one of our loyal listeners, Frank Pisani. Tomorrow is his birthday. So congratulations to him. And like I said, we got a game. We're gonna have to talk about it and hear about it for the next 6 days. But the Super Bowl and the close of the NFL season will be upon us next weekend, and Eli and I will make our Super Bowl picks and announce the results of what our loyal listeners think. So
so vote.
Yep. So listen, Eli, I know you got a game to catch today, so good luck to you, St. Mary's guys.
Yes.
And well, like I said, we're doing a lot of new things on the show, and I think you're doing a great job as the producer and an absolutely awesome co-host to be with. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's been an honor to be on the show.
Yep. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll be at 10 o'clock, right?
10 o'clock, unless any changes. Yep.
Okay. Great job, Eli. Thank you. And
have
everybody, you guys enjoy your week, and we'll see you the same time next Saturday. Have a great week.
Bye-bye. Bye.